For the last week, we have discussed a lot about what is the best class. Is it the Barbarian? Is it the Bard? Is it the Rogue? Or whatever, right? And what is the best race, of course. And then obviously the combination of those two, right? Now, I instead will have a little fun, guys. What is actually the funniest class to play there? From an actual enjoyable standpoint. Okay, what is the class that's fun to play? And I am working on a multi-class list, like a multi-class tier list. That takes longer time though, honestly, because it's so many multi-class combinations. I don't know, I might just do my top 10 or something, I don't know. That's coming out, guys, so be subscribed for that. By the way, let's rank the funniest class. A funny tier list ever run. Of course, this list here is deadly serious, right? What I rank here is even more serious than the actual min-max tier list. This is like the actual tier list, yeah. But honestly though, this is actually probably in one way the most important tier list, perhaps, right? You know, what is actually is the funniest class to play, right? And I also want to go in here a little bit, of course, and mention, you know, obviously I look at the class, again, primarily from who you, as a person, is playing at, who you are creating and playing as. But also a little bit, of course, like what companion do you might want to use or whatever. Or, of course, I know you can use the, for that matter, right? In my first tier list, everyone was like, but you can use get the heal, you can respec or whatever. I was talking about that. I don't want to respec who I am. Maybe this is me, right? But if I play the Paladin, I'm going to be the Paladin the whole way, you know. I might respec just like a little bit stats or something, maybe sometimes when I play, but no, I'm playing the class, okay? And I do feel kind of similar with the companions for that matter. I don't want to respect Shadowhorn or that. That being said, have respect everyone. But so yeah, after a while, I guess you wanna respect all the companions just to make them. In my latest playthrough, I have like revert everyone. So Shadowheart is a barbarian, you know, Karlach, she's a wizard, I kind of like, you know, flipping everyone, kind of, you know, sure. But that being said, right, this is here about, yeah, what is the funniest class to play as your main, right? But also a little bit your companions. And in a way, isn't this the best list, right? Because this is the meat of the game. Especially, I think, like I said, if you play like me and you never really like change class on your main character, right? Yeah, because I never respect who I am, you know what I mean? And if you haven't seen it, here is the class choice distribution between players, right? And I made a video about that last week. I think it's very interesting because Paladin here is number one, right? Like a large margin, okay? Clearly, Paladin is in the top. And Cleric is in the far bottom, like over here. You know, Cleric is absolutely in the bottom, right? So it's a massive difference between Paladin and Cleric players. And I say here immediately, guys, let's make it tedious now. And yeah, Paladin is the winner, okay? I'm not gonna, yeah, I know some people, they like to do the opposite, right? They like to do the opposite. They like to do the tier list, and they start with like, this is the boring class, here's the best class. But when I make tier list, I said the maybe before, I love to do it in the reverse order as best I can, right? I want to say here's the most important part, and I said I played this game like several times now, you know, different playthroughs. Haven't beaten it like with every class, but obviously I played every class for a few hours to be and so on. And Paladin is my favorite one. I played the whole game with Paladin, right? Paladin I enjoyed. The way I started playing the game after I made my initial playthrough, like a quick playthrough, was that I started playing basically every class, right? It's a little bit RP, I suppose, but still, like, this thing, and I felt a little bit, a few hours with every class, and I kind of picked into, I really like my Paladin, you know what I mean? And yeah, Paladin is also the winner then, of course, right, on the most popularity pool, and I think it makes sense, alright. Paladin, as I know in the video, is the face class, right? It is the class that you want to play for all the charisma, all the rolls, right? You want to get the best, you know, persuasion. I made a video about, you know, like making every boss surrender in Act 2. And also, as a side note, you know, Paladin is powerful with many different builds. But generally speaking, that's spoiling too much, right? There's a lot of undead in this game, you know? But honestly, yeah, especially Act 1, I wouldn't say that Paladin is like the Paladin's, you know, passive or not passive, both passive but also abilities, right, against the smiting and so on, isn't very effective in Act 1. Well, I guess it's that Act 1 where you get outside the monastery. It is some undead still, but whatever, you know. In Act 2, minor spoiler right there, it's minor spoiler, right? Act 2, obviously, then, yeah, there's a lot more undead, especially I think in Act 2. So then the Paladin also feels very powerful. Of course, you have the turn under, where you scream kind of away all the undead, have the Cleric, right? But you also have a lot of the smites, and you have different passives, so you can buff people to get more undead bonus, and also some fiends, right? But yeah, it's a lot of undeads eventually in the game, so Paladin's also very powerful. But of course, I do think Paladin has been the funniest class for me to play. I think it is funny to play the good character, right? Paladin clearly is the face. You want to have good roles, right? With NPCs, it's Paladin or Bard. And also, not V2, but you know, Sorceress, Warlock, they're also based on charisma, right? So that's why they're popular. And also, of course, are fun to play in that sense, right? But yeah, Paladin is powerful, it's fun to play. And also, like I said in the other video, Paladin is not one of the OG companions. I guess, spoiler warning, I know you can get Paladin. There's so many comments like, you can get a Paladin, you can get a Paladin. I know, but you have to, you know, that Paladin character comes later and so on, whatever. I just want to address it. But anyway, yeah, Paladin is number 1, guys. Like I said, I'm gonna put Paladin in number 1 immediately here. And honestly, yeah, when I make a tier list, I like to start from the best or the bottom, right? Say in my Street Fighter list, it's like this is the best character, the worst character. I like to do it from that order, right? And then we kind of work our way down. I also find it always easier to leave a comment on what you guys think. But I always find it much easier as well, right? To start with the best and the worst. Because it's harder to say, well, who's like number 5 and number 6? Easy to say this is the best one. But I actually do really enjoy the Paladin the most. And honestly, when I made my class tier list, I ranked them as A tier instead of S tier. But I had them first in S tier in my mind. And honestly, the reason I didn't rank them in S tier, to some extent, was that I was like, well, I am really enjoying my Paladin run, right? From an actual enjoyment standpoint. Is that clouding my judgment? So maybe I was a little too harsh on the Paladin. Because, I mean, Paladin is obviously A tier for me, from an actual, like, min-max as well, right? And perhaps an even S tier. Okay, so who is the next funny class? Merrymaking, baby. I think it's Sorcerer. Straight up, yeah. That's my second favorite I'm enjoying. I'm playing this. I know it's a little bit RP, right? So I'm playing this evil Sorcerer. This is my first playthrough. I'm just killing everyone, you know? You know what I mean? I'm just being like, yeah, this is it, baby. But seriously, yeah, my first playthrough, evil Sorcerer, like speedrunning it best I could, right? Just filling it out. Sorcerer's really fun to play. Like we saw in the stat thing, right? Sorcerer is also having high charisma. It definitely helps, right? So you can have good rolls. I always like the Bard as well, right? It also is a charismatic character, yes. But I like how the Sorcerer works, you know. I like how the spell combines. I think Sorcerer is by far, in my opinion, the funniest spellcaster, yeah. How it works. I honestly think Wizard, we'll come to that later, but honestly, guys, I find Wizard pretty boring, you know? Like, I didn't rank them very highly as an actual like, min-max class tier. I don't find it very fun to play either. And when I'm making a list here, just like in the tier list of actual like strength or whatever, you have to think about it, right? From level 1 to max level here, right? I'm talking about from the whole get-go, right? I'm talking about, like, again, we are creating a character, right? Especially, even more here in this list, everyone, we are creating a character, you know? We're creating a character. We're level 1, we're gonna RP, we're gonna play this class, you know, we're gonna be this person, right? So we're gonna play them the whole game. So here even more is like, what is fun at level 1 and 2 and 3 and so on, right? And then of course max level, but like from the whole path. And yeah, I find Wizard really boring, okay? In the first levels. I'm like, Wizard is boring, guys. Boring, okay? But Sorcerer's fun, man. Sorcerer combines stuff and so on. It's fun. I think it's, yeah, you keep saying it, but it's the funniest spellcaster class, I think. How it works and so on. And again, this list here isn't, you know, weakest or strongest or whatever, right? But I also find them stronger than Wizards, for example, as well, right? So, it's also a bonus, you know? It's also a bonus that they're also stronger, right? I mean, I ranked them higher than the Cleric and Wizards one last time, right? So, they're also stronger than them as well. But, yeah, I think they're way funnier. And like I mentioned, it doesn't hurt, right? That you're also charismatic. That's just a bonus. An obvious bonus, right? So, let's take the Warlock first then. Because I don't find the Warlock... Where is it? There. I don't find the Warlock, guys, as fun as the Sorcerer, right? You know, I find it like a less fun Sorcerer play. I do like it though, the whole like pushing them down thing. I used the Misty Step, you teleport, you push them down over the Eldritch Blast build. That's pretty fun. That's how I played my Warlock in my party, right? So I play Will the party Warlock, yeah. I get all of my runs. I always play him as like pushing them down Warlock, right? That's pretty fun. But it's kind of mid enjoyable. Yeah, I'll say it here. It's like, kind of like the maybe. Okay, you know what? This doesn't make any sense. Okay, let's change that. Yeah, mid should be in the mid. I was like, no, mid should be mid, okay? Yeah, that's that, yeah. Mid should be mid, yeah. It's like an FF16. Oh my god, yeah. Side note, if you haven't played 16, right? There is a character, her name is Mid, seriously, yeah. Her name is Midlothlore, but they call her Mid, like the game actually call her Mid, literally. And she's very mid. I find it kind of funny that she's like a really annoying character. Probably honestly the worst NPC in the game. Because you see the worst quest in the game, right? And her name is Mid. You're like, ah, oh, Mid again. Goddamn Mid, man. The game was like, yeah, let's call her Mid. But yeah, I find Warlock Mid. I feel like I said with the Sorcerer. Everything is true there, right? But it basically is worse at it. Yeah, they're less interesting. How the spell works is less fun, right? And otherwise they also are, again, a charismatic face character, whatever, right? Something like that. So you have that advantage of both of them. So kind of similar, but yeah, the Sorcerer is more fun, right? So if you haven't played either of these, like a spellcaster start run, I would recommend Sorcerer. And also, I forgot to say that, but also, you know, when you play Sorcerer, you can play the Chaotic Magic. This one I played, right? It has a lot of random effects. But it might be more frustrating, but it also makes your run more enjoyable, because it's like, oh, shit, yeah, what's happening this fight? You know, it's random, yeah. This buff happens, so it can be kind of fun too. That's like a unique Sorcerer thing. Let's take Wizard then. I think Wizard is trash, baby. Why do I have some hatred for Wizards. Apparently, I hate Wizard, guys. Yeah, this is my thing, apparently. I hate the Wizards, yeah. I have to some PTSD or something, guys. I don't know how to explain it, but for some reason, right, I always put the poor Wizard in trash pile, man. I don't know, yeah, I hate the Wizards over there. I hate them, you know. I have my Grimoire here, right? I got my Grimoire here. Yeah, leave a comment below. Do you know what this game is? Here's a Grimoire. It's a collectible Grimoire. You can open it up, guys. And it's a book. It has gaming stuff in the book, you know. It's like, you can actually, the pages are gaming stuff. I'm not gonna spoil here, but yeah. This is actually one of my favorite collectibles. So what Grimoire, what spell is this thing? But otherwise, seemingly I hate Wizards, yeah, even though I have this thing here. I don't like Wizards. I kinda like Warlocks. I love the Sorcerer. But I don't know, I find the Wizards so boring in this game. You have to spam rest, right? I find it pretty weak too. I know they have all the spells, but they can barely use them. So that's why I rank them low, as for both a fun and, you know, from like a strength standpoint too, because yeah, with the Warlock and Sorcerer, you can spam way more, better cantrips, right? More interesting spells. Yes, you can combine some crazy wizard mumbo jumbo, but it's like very late game, you know. And this list, guys, we're most thinking about who you should be, right? You know, what is the funniest character to play from level 1 to the whole game, right? I played again like 4 times now. And yeah, the Wizard playthrough I didn't finish. Allowed, you know, again, Swords, Paladins, and one Warlock. But the Wizard is like, I'm like, I'm gonna play this thing. That's one of those playthroughs I didn't finish, right? Yeah, I was like, whatever, right? It's found it more boring, yeah. Like eventually, I guess my point is that eventually at max level, or not max level, but like level 7 or 8 or so, then you can kind of start doing all the combinations. But there's like most of the game, I don't know. It feels very late, you know. But yeah, leave a couple if you know what this game is. Cleric as well then, while we're at this, like, I guess, magician guys. I don't know, I start with Paladin because that's the best, you know, because I really like Paladin. I guess Cleric I find somewhere here. More enjoyable than Wizard. They have a lot of different builds with Cleric, I have to say. Because you can play the tank, you know, the Cleric can play kind of medium, even heavy armor, depending on your race and so on, right? And you can play like a little bit more Paladin-ish with your Cleric. And I really do enjoy using, of course, Shadow Mama with her, what is it called? Spirit Guardians, right? Level 3 spell, yeah, it's very powerful, like 2 especially. So I do like that though, you know. Earlier talk about undeads, right? I don't spoil too much here, but obviously, yeah, the game is undead, guys. Well, surprise. And yeah, of course, the Cleric is powerful as well. So especially there's some fights where the Cleric is very powerful. They are like 2 side quests, especially thinking about it in my head here, where the Cleric's ability is very, very powerful. So strength-wise, pretty good and so on, right? But not very fun to play, right? The Cleric is by far the least popular class to play, and I think it is mostly because people don't want to play the healer, right? And yeah, I don't think healing feels very good in this game. And honestly, Paladin healing feels way more fun because when you're healing someone, you want it to be big numbers, right? Maybe I'm coming from a WoW standpoint or whatever, right? But healing should be bigger than DPS, right? Because you should be able to heal over damage, you know what I mean? So healing, the Cleric has actually pretty shitty, honestly. Yeah, they heal very low. The level 2 healing spell that only works outside of combat is pretty high though. Like the AoE healing hits you a lot, right? Because you use in combat. But like in-game healing, or in combat I mean, it's like the cure wound and so on. They do heal very little, you know, it's like 4 to 11 and so on. Where the Paladin got the lay on hands heal, like BAM! You know, so Paladin healing, in my opinion, and you know, agree with me, is also funnier. Because you're doing more like, you know, BAM! You got heal, baby! Where Cleric healing is like, yeah, I'll heal you a little bit, yeah, fine, you know. It's just too low, I think. But like I said, the Cleric heals better outside of combat, right? But in combat, not very fun. In combat, I guess I like but I do like the level 3 and level 4 spells. But they get a little more powerful, holy magic or whatever, right? So you can do some stuff with damage with it. So, it's okay-ish. But I don't think playing the Cleric is a funny... It's like I said, I think it's quite weak in the game as well, right? Playing your main Cleric, I don't think it's very good. I don't think you can have much fun. It definitely feels like just a less funnier Paladin, in my opinion. Yeah. Why would you play the Cleric when the Paladin is more fun? They also have more charisma, so I don't know. I don't think that's fun, right? Let's do the Druid. I like Druid, guys. I like Druid a lot, you know. I rank them very high, but I think Druid is fun to play too, you know. So Druid, I find very enjoyable to play. I even had 2 Druid in my latest playthrough for a long time. I have 2 companion Druids for a long time, okay? That just tells you how versatile like the Druid is. Of course, it's famous with the versatility. But they're very, very powerful in many ways. So, but if you play a Druid, you can do so much stuff, right? I already went over how powerful it is in the beginning of the game because you turn into an animal. The life pool is different than your life pool. It's very, very powerful. So it's also easily more better in the game. But Druid, okay. So you have the animal forms. They're pretty meh, I think, how they actually work. But when they get OWLBEAR, you know what I'm talking about there. If you play Druid, when you get the OWLBEAR, baby, you know, the OWLBEAR is freaking OP, man. You jump around, you do damage, it's fantastic. You have like 75 health points, whatever, or level 7. It's crazy good. You can jump around, and when you play the Druid, right, you can also stealth, you can be the cat, you can do everything. And I know stealth in this game is easier because you have to use avoid stuff, but still, you know, Druid can do that easy, you can stealth check, you can do everything. It's very powerful. Lightning is very powerful too. And then I also like to play, so one of my, in my latest playthrough, I have one Druid that's kind of like the, as we call it, Fungus Druid, right? You know, the Necromancer Druid. They have all the Druid doing, you know, more like spell damage or whatever, right? So, they're very different too when you can play the Necromantic then. Fungus Druid is basically, yeah, like the summoning Druid, right? But also very powerful. You're summoning a bunch of skeletons. You can pick both melee and range. I mean, it's zombies, but already zombies are melee, skeletons range, yeah, whatever. That stuff. You can summon elements, you know, and then the element can summon elements. So I'm playing that Druid in one of my playthroughs, where it's just like you're playing a fungus, right? Like I said, and then the fungus guy gets Dryad summoning, and the Dryad can summon trees. So you get like Dryad, tree, and then you have 2 skeletons, 2 or whatever, 2 zombies and so on. So you get like 6, 7 guys, you know. So you like, so you have like an army, yeah. You get like a huge army, man. So that's fun too, right? So Druid's got both the whole like I have a pet army, and I have great spells, or I have use ice form, and you can also still be the big animal form, you know. Even if you're playing like more like a spell-based Druid, you can still turn into the OWLBEAR for a few turns, right? Like at the engage, or if you have like a hard boss fight, you can first throw all your spells, you know, level 4, level 3, maybe level 2, and then you turn into OWLBEAR, you can still do damage and jump in and tank and so on. So it's very, very powerful. And it's fun to play it, you know. And like I said, playing Druid from an NPC standpoint, right, it opens up for the stealthing and many other options. So you can usually do most of the different NPC stuff except charisma, but you can do other stuff, you know, stealing and so on too. Yeah. So it's a fun class, man. I think it's one of the funniest class, and I almost always use the Druid companions in my playthrough. I mean, I use both of them, right, in my playthrough, yeah. Keep using, I don't want to spoil it who they are, but you know, use more than one Druid companion. Highly recommend Druids. Hey, Bard guys, I love Bard. You know I love Bard, but I said it before, I always like the Bard. You know, it's always been one of my favorite D&D classes, right? If you see in, what's it called, Critical Role, right? Yeah, you know, the Bard is the best character. That's what it's called, right? I think so. Yeah, the Bard, always the best character, man. You can go in there and get some waifus, you know, you can do some, but you can do so much fun with Bard, you know. It obviously is similar to the Paladin, right? With the whole I'm the face guy, so that obviously it is charismatic, of course. But then the Bard have all this utility, right? The Bard can be a little bit of everything, but different spells, different weird stuff. You can be the Bard can do a bunch of stuff, and it's just, but the Bard can just do a bunch of funny stuff, you know. You can like play some music and trick them to come after you, and yeah, the Bard is just really fun. I would say the Bard is funnier than Druid though. Bard is probably for me like up here. Maybe even the best class to play for funny. You have to get the merry making. I don't know, yeah, the Bard or the Paladin, but yeah, I love playing the Bards too. It's a really funny class, guys. But I also feel I have to motivate that. I don't feel I have to motivate that, because yeah, you have the charisma, you have all that stuff, so you got all the NPC stuff, right? But then you also got, you know, you new orders that you can trick them with music, and you have more, you know, you can combine different spells, and you can that stuff. The Bard subclasses are quite different. One is more like, oh, I do NPC, one is more like a fight, so on. A lot of fun stuff there. And like I said, I'm working on that multi-class list too. The Bard is also interesting, you know, oh, how can you combine it with other classes, right? But yeah, the multi list, I don't know, it's hard to make, guys, because it's like, Jesus Christ, there's so many combinations. I think I will just take like my top 10 or my top 20 or something. Top 10 feels too little, guys. You know, leave them below. I think I'm doing a multi-class tier list. And I will probably do something like top 20, top 30, I don't know. Something like that instead, because I feel like maybe it should be like top 3 per class, maybe? Seriously, leave a comment below, guys. Yeah, what do you guys think? Maybe that'd be the best, right? You know, we have like my 3 favorite multi-class, or not favorite, like, you know, min-max / fun multi-class tier list. More min-max, yeah, min-max like multi-class tier list, 3 per class, something like that. What do you guys think? But anyway, Bard is also interesting. Bard is one of those very interesting multi-classes. Druid is a good example of, as a side note, Druid is probably one of the worst, if not the worst, multi-classer, because it scales that your health and your animal form and so on, right? It spells on your, it scales on your Druid level much more, right? But that being said, because Druid is the most versatile basic class, right? With all the different forms and so on, I don't see, you know, Druid is also a class where I don't think multi-classing is less useful, right? Yeah, for more than one reason, so as a side note. But anyway, let's keep going. I took Ranger, the last... I'm playing an evil Ranger. I haven't beaten the game with her yet, but... Or she's actually non-binary, she's transgender, but whatever. I'm playing this character called Janus. If you know, Janus is Roman god of deception and doors. Yeah, Janus is the Roman god of doors class. But anyway... So in my Janus Ranger playthrough, I'm gonna have to give it her. It's pretty fun. I mean, I find Ranger pretty powerful. You know, you got the animal, you got some different stuff, high dexterity, but it's not like super fun in my opinion. It's over here probably. I think it's mid. Yeah, honestly, I think it's mid. Like I started playing her, and like I said, I probably played it. I don't know, let's say 20 hours maybe on that Ranger, and it's like fun. Like I said, I'm playing like very evil, so it's kind of fun. Just being like a little, I'm a halfling Ranger, Lightfoot, some, you know, high stealth and so on. So I'm very like, I'm min-maxing, baby. I'm min-maxing evil Ranger girl, okay? But I'm enjoying it, but it's not like super fun, okay? It's not that good. It's like, and obviously I have, what's it called? Urban tracking, so I can, you know, rob people, so yeah. So I'm very much like, I'm playing the Ranger rogue. It's a very evil playthrough. It's pretty fun. Obviously, I'm playing a lot of the stealth mechanics and all, right? But it's not like super fun. Maybe I should go super fun then. I feel kind of hard. Yeah, super fun. It's not super fun, and it definitely isn't as. No, I'm not enjoying it as much as I did my other playthroughs. No, I'm not enjoying it as much. But I'm still enjoying it. Don't get me wrong. I'm still enjoying playing the Ranger. You know, And she's pretty powerful, so it's pretty good. You got your animal stuff and so on too, right? But it's not like super fun. I guess the Ranger, when you're playing as them, the actual combat isn't that interesting. You mostly can, I have my animal do something and I shoot my arrows, and it doesn't feel like super fun in the actual combat of it. But it's pretty fun before, with being like kind of like I'm a rogue Tifi, you know, I'm a criminal ranger. Actually, that's of Ushi, but whatever, you get point out. So it's pretty fun. I feel it's pretty much here. Let's take the rogue then, follow up. But honestly, I feel the rogue and the ranger in that sense are pretty similar, because I probably will play, yeah, I would say I play the rogue and the ranger very similar. You don't have to be that, right? You can play the ranger a little more, I guess, good-hearted, but yeah, it's kind of similar. It's like I said more in the video, right? When you're playing the rogue, it opens up for, you know, playing the stealth game, right? The most. But you can stay stealth as anyone else. You have to use avoid. And I do think that it's two things, right? It's not that, yes, stealth in this game isn't like very super good implemented. So it doesn't really function that well. So I think that stealth isn't that fun to play in this game. And it's like I said more in the list, where I think that the rogue is a very powerful class. Because if you enjoy playing stealth, you know, if you love playing the stealth game, you're obviously gonna love playing the rogue. It's a huge caveat, right, in that class. But I don't think that stealth itself is actually that fun in this game. And the whole just avoiding the red thing, you know, it is not that fun, right, in that sense. And also it feels less impactful, right, than in other D&D settings and so on. It's a little bit of a game engine issue, perhaps, something like that. But it doesn't feel super fun. And I basically, like I described, right? Because I'm playing, you know, like I said, I'm playing a light-footed halfling evil ranger, right? She's very much like a rogue, you know. And then of course I go into rogue anyway, obviously. But I mean, even at level 1, she was like roguey, right? And then of course you can multi-class and, you know, become a rogue. But in my point, so I feel they're very similar, but I feel that the ranger is funnier because you got the pet and so on, right? Yeah, so they're kind of similar. Maybe you put the rogue in enjoyable, right? I might even say that, honestly. I might even say that I probably enjoy playing the ranger more. So, but honestly, I just feel they're so linked together. You kind of have like a start of my other video in the future, perhaps. But I feel it's one of the most natural combinations, right? To multi-class, rogue ranger, yeah, it feels like the most given, one of the most like natural. This is a good inherent multi-class. Whatever, I'll leave it like that. Barbarian, yeah, you know, I feel like it's super fun. Yeah, Barbarian is fun, guys. It's fun, not as fun as Paladin, not fun as Sorcerer, but it's pretty fun, man. It's pretty fun. So Barbarian, of course, got the throw, right? The enraged throw. That shit is so fun, man. And it's obviously one of the subclasses, right? So it's the first one, right? But yeah, I mean, every gameplay I have, you know, Karlach, you know, she's the barbarian, right? You can, of course, you can respect whatever. But I think Karlach, she just fits as, you know, the big muscular waifu, right? Running around with, you know, big boobs and big abs, you know, and throwing stuff. And it's fun, you know. Like, I feel every playthrough, when I get to Karlach, okay, Karlach for the matter, she's my favorite companion, easily. There's one other companion I like too. I actually like 2 other companions a lot, but they are secret companions, so let's just do that thing. Of the 6 companions, right, the first companions, then, so yes, yeah, then I think Karlach is the funniest one, hottest one, pun intended, yeah, hottest one, but I think she has the funniest dialogue and so on. I like Shadowheart 2 and so on, but yeah, Karlach, she's my waifu band of the companion, guys, and she, every time when I get to her, you know, I love playing with her in it. Yeah, she's always in my party. The barbarian chick, she throws stuff. It's fun, man. She's so much more fun than, of course, the fighter we come to here, which Lassiel. I can never say your name, you know. I can never say your name. She's a Sundra, I guess, Gitanki, but no. Karlach is way more fun, right? Both as a character, I think, writing, but also to actually play them. Talking about, you know, the actual gameplay, right? Barbarians are fun. They're fun. I think they're funny to play. They have the rogue, right? You know, it's fun to be friends and go in there and beat them up and throw them around and so on. Throw a weapon at them. It's a funner gameplay, right? Yeah. So I would definitely recommend playing the Barbarian over like yeah, rogue and whatever. Like these are like physical classes, I guess in that sense, melee physical classes. Also the fighter coming to soon, right? But the Paladin though is different though, because the Paladin, of course, again is a face character, and the Paladins, like I said earlier, the ability is like turn undead. Different like undead counter spells, you know, different like so not counter spell, but I mean counters. I mean, like for example, you have what's it called devotion aura. One of the auras that makes you charm immune, for example. I think it's called Aura of Devotion. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you know, you have the aura, right, that makes you immune to charm and so on. That stuff is really legit, you know, at certain places with the mind flying and so on. It's very, very powerful there. So it's also very utility class sometimes. But Barbarian isn't really like utility. You guys, you know what I mean? So the Barbarian is fun to play. Less fun than the Paladin, but more fun than like the fighter. So, fighter. Fighter is trash maybe? I don't think that fights are fun to play. I also gonna hate the fighters too. I got a hatred for fighter baby and wizards. But I don't think that fighter is fun to play. It's my opinion. I don't know. Maybe even trash, man. I don't, well, okay, they're less trash than wizard though, so it's like, it's definitely that, but there we go. Definitely like that though. I don't think fights are fun to play, right? And I think that the same reasoning is kind of like how I min-max too, you know? Maybe it's associated with min-max, but it's the general concept of mathematics, right? I know that the fighter has some interesting multi-class, you can pick this up and you can do some shit or whatever. But generally speaking, you know, playing the fighter, both as yourself or with super annoying Lassiel or her name is, it's just like, oh yeah, I can fight stuff, you know, and it's kind of boring, you know? I feel they're very simplistic, you know? I can use every weapon and I can like hit stuff or something, you know. I feel I'm bored, right? And even if you have the battle master and get everyone a buff or whatever, okay, I guess that makes everyone better, I suppose, but I feel the fight's pretty boring. But even if you have that, I don't think you should be the fighter in this list here. We're still most thinking about who we are, you know, who am I, right? If you're gonna have that, like the, let's call it the support fighter, right? Who buffs everyone else, so to speak, that should be your companion, I would say. You don't wanna be the fighter. Support fighter. No, I think fight's pretty boring, but I think it comes back to a lot that it's not as fun, I think, to not be really good at something, right? It's funnier to be very good at something in this game. And I know I have Druid up there very highly, but it is because the Druid is... if you think about it as a jack of all trades, right? You know, switch army knife, you know, the toolbox class, right? The Druid is like A in everything in toolbox, right? And I find the fighter is like B in everything. You know what I mean? Or actually, the fighter is B in certain stuff and completely lacks certain other stuff. They're like healing and so on. They have self heal, but I mean the Druid has, you know, a bunch of weird support stuff as well as damage and you know. So the Druid is like A in everything. The Druid is not S in anything, but they're S, maybe S in one thing, but they're mostly A in everything, right? A or B, but mostly A. And the fighter is like mostly B in everything. Some A's, some B's, and then nothing, something else, right? So yeah, you're kind of like a jack of all trade, but not really. You're like a jack of some trade. I hope that makes sense. Druid is a jack of all trade. Bard is a jack of all trade, and the fighter is like jack of half the trades or something. You know what I mean? I don't think it's very fun, no. And I do think it's very similar to my reasoning in a min-max way too, right? And I don't find the fighters very interesting. Lastly, we have the monk, baby. The monk I find hard to rank, right? Because obviously, you know, I'm a martial art bro. You know, I'm doing this thing every time, right? Actually, I am of course a martial art black belt. You can see it on me. All jokes aside, though. I have trained martial art, right, for what, 20 years? No, more than that. Jesus Christ. I'm old, guys. 24 years? 25 years? Something like that. Jesus Christ, I'm old. But yeah, I've trained martial art for many years. I always have a sweet spot, guys, for... I always have a sweet spot, you know, for the martial art character. I absolutely have. When I play D&D in real life, so to speak, fighting dragons, but yeah, in like tabletop with friends and so on, I have played the monk many times. If it's a natural class to me, I really do like. Okay, I really do have a sweet spot for martial arts. You know, I'm from that generation where Jackie Chan, you know, Jackie Chan was my idol. You know, I grew up with Karate Kid, I guess. Karate Kid, I'm actually a little too young for Karate Kid. Obviously, I saw it as a kid, but it wasn't like that big when I was a kid. Somewhat big, but you know, Jackie Chan was like my childhood idol. You know, so I have a massive sweet spot for the monk. So I do immediately running in, like, you know, I do love it though. Then Diablo 3, which I did work on though, so I'm biased I suppose. But Diablo 3, obviously the monk is my favorite class or whatever. I don't want to play the monk on on permadeath, yeah, and sucking them into you, whatever. You get the point. I also like fighting games. I got a huge split spot for monks. I'm biased, but I'm like, monk, baby, it's the fun play. Could be ST, baby. I'm very biased. But let's just be, I try to be non-biased then, right? I'm supposed to be some kind of scientist. So I do find the monk much funnier than the fighter, right? Because I'm like, boom, you know, yeah. It's fun, got some cool moves, got your own chi system, right? Or key system, it might be pronounced. Is it chi or is it key in this game? I don't know, it's with the chi, right? Yeah. Well, anyway. But I don't think they're as fun as, I don't know, it's a little bit, yeah, I do that. I mean, I feel like I like playing them. The system, I love the damage output. You know, I do rank the monk very highly. In one of my playthroughs, of course, I'm playing very mean max, right? I'm playing the half orc monk. Yeah. In my monk playthrough, I'm very mean max, baby. I'm like half orc monk, you know. I'm just going in there punching them. Yeah, it's very, very powerful. It is, I think, the straight up the most powerful combination, right? As I said in another video, yeah, of race and class. It's the most obvious combination. You play half orc and you play the monk, so you get the bonus melee and so on. Right? It's so good, man. And the endurance is so good too. So you get, it's like two best passives. Fantastic. But I don't find, like, you know, the actual mechanics in this game of the monk isn't very useful. I mean, it's very, you choose fight, you can stealth, whatever. You know what I mean? I don't find the monk having like really good abilities in this game that make them have a different gameplay. That make any sense. Like, I actually don't think the monk, honestly here, is very well implemented. Like, it's not that bad at this. Get my point. I don't find it very good implementation, right? I feel it lacks a little bit of what I actually want to see in the monk from an actual like, class perspective. What the game does offer though, right? As I said in the video, is that the monk is very, very powerful. He's saying it. My half orc monk, he's amazingly powerful, right? And to some extent, they have their own system. It could be better, I feel, right? But you do get a little bit of the monk feeling, a little bit of the, you know, the different builds and so on, unarmed or whatever, right? And you get that like massive DPS. So they are very good. They feel like one of the best classes, and you know, but I do feel they're a little limited. I think it's fair to say. I'm honestly probably a little bit disappointed, right, of how the monks work in this game. I could imagining it being better, right? I have, you know, played the monk, right, several times in an actual like tabletop, you know, D&D, real life, you know, sitting talking about, yeah. So I think the monk could be better in this game, but I still enjoy that like brutal DPS, right? I enjoy they have a little bit different feeling how they're fighting them. If I go from a pure bias standpoint, I put them in ST, right? Because honestly though, when I'm playing my half-orc monk, I will say though that I do enjoy it probably more than like my Barbarian or so I'm like BAM! Yeah, you know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, I'm a martial artist! So, like from a mental standpoint, it's probably like S plus T for me. I'm like, yeah, I'm a monk! You know what I mean? I'm a Shaolin half-orc. It really goes into my brain. I'm like, yeah! So, absolutely. It becomes that extra enjoyable. But if I have to be completely unbiased, I don't think that they are. I think they lack some features that I would like to see. Some utility, mostly, right? They can see mostly be DPS, but I feel it's a little weird. And like when I played my half-orc game, yeah, like I felt like, oh my god, I'm doing so much damage. I'm just like crushing everything. So it's fun in that way because I'm just OP. You know? Bam, 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 yeah, I'm just OP. But it feels a little bit like, what can't I do? But should be, yeah, of course. I mean, if they had that, they would always be ST if they also had high damage and had utility. But I still think they should have that, you know? I guess I'd rather would probably lose a little bit of my deep strike a little less DPS, a little more utility, so I have the monk feel to it. I guess that's probably what I want. Something like that. It feels a little strange playing. They feel limited in this game. So they're probably one of the classes I feel, like I said, a little disappointed in. But I'm still enjoying them, and I still think they're funnier than like the Rogue or... Yeah, I'm definitely... I mean, again, maybe I'm biased there, but I'm enjoying it way more than like my Ranger run, you know? Like my Ranger run, it's fun. The Monk run, way funnier. But like I said, if I compare my Ranger run to my Monk run, then Monk would be like S tier at least, right? So I feel I am trying it to be a little biased. I feel Monk is fun. It's not as fun as the Barbarian. I think the Barbarian is more fun to play, you know? Even though, you're wrong here, again, this is a fun list, guys, right? Because I do feel that the Barbarian is not as strong as the Monk, you know? In an actual, like min-max standpoint, right? I would rank, you know, in a min-max standpoint, right? I would rank the Barbarian lower than the Monk, probably. But, you know, from most standpoint in the game, but I feel that the Baron is funnier to play with the whole throw stuff, right? Than the Monk in the actual gameplay. But from like a pure DPS standpoint, the Monk is not every fight, but in many fights, the Monk is probably better. So again, this is a fun tier list, right? And I think that's a good reason to look at it from that standpoint. Right? But yeah, let's just break down quickly, guys. Then conclusion, right? Because the fun tier list, I think, I guess I'm a sucker for the charisma, baby, right? So yeah, Paladin, Bard, Sorcerer, it really is very similar to the stats of players. Yeah, Paladin, Sorcerer, so very popular because they are the face character, right? But it isn't just about the face thing. Obviously, Paladin is fun to play because it's kind of like being a melee better Cleric or like a Barbarian with better spells or whatever, right? The Bard, a lot of utility. Sorcerer, I think, is by far the funniest spellcaster class, right? And again, the Druid is like very, very versatile, but actually good at everything too. So you got the Rogue, you got the Stealth thing, you got the good spell, Necromancer thing, the OWLBEAR is awesome, so on, right? And then if you want to be a typical melee class, Barbarian Monk, I think are way funner class. And then I really feel kind of like the Ranger Rogue is mid, because, yeah, the stealth in this game isn't that very good, I feel. Not from a min-max standpoint, but it's just kind of junky, what it's called, yanky. Yeah, it's not that fun to play, honestly. And then I find, you know, Wizard to be trash as always. I hate Wizards. And Fighters to be also trash, right? But anyway, guys, hope you liked the video. Subscribe, press the like button, right? And again, how should we do the multi-class list? I think I come up with it during the video there. That to me is the most normal, or the best normal. Maybe, right? Like top 3 per class, maybe. Something like that. Because it really is, you know, you can't talk about every combination. The video will be like 10 hours long. And also, I say thinking about this thing. It's not very useful to make a tier list of every possible multi-class because there's a lot of shit, right? And it's kind of similar. I worked in this video game a couple years ago, and the COO, which is a terrible owner of the game, right? A terrible owner. He wanted every tooltip on this. This is Angel in the game. Okay, I have an Angel character. He wanted every tooltip to be explained in like detail if you hovered over kind of the character, right? And I was like, this is the whole less is more concept. I was like, but that is not a good, you know, UX design, right? Because if you are giving everything a tooltip, everything is a keyword, then nothing is a keyword. You know what I mean? If every mechanic is like highlighted with a lot of text, it becomes hard to read because there's so much text on the screen. But it also means that you as the player have a hard time understanding what is important and what is not important. Because even if the character is like 10 keywords, right? And they're all mechanically keywords, they can't all be as important, right? Because then it's going to be very weird in the actual game standpoint. So if you have 10 mechanics, it probably means that maybe, let's say, 3 of them are very important, and the other 7 are less important, right? So maybe the game should just show the 3 more important mechanics. Then you might have like an advanced button to read everything in maximum detail, right? To really go into it. Because that is not what the most players want to read anyway, right? Because that's it's hard to understand if it's a lot of text, right? So I feel the same thing here if we do like 100 top tier lists, multi-classes, right? It's like, yeah, but most of them are way worse. Like, why should we talk about the worst ones, right? It's just kind of meh. That being said, of course, if I do like top 3 per class, I know I'm gonna miss some combos people ang at me, but I think it's better because maybe, or of course also maybe a little more versatile. Maybe some have the top 5 and some have top 3 because these are all 5 are very powerful and this only have 3. Maybe, I don't know, it can be flexible, but I think it's also more digestible, right, to have like this is my favorite best multiclasses because that is more valuable than like here's all of the multiclasses. These 10 are terrible, these 2 are good. You know what I mean? Let's explain why these 10 are bad. Now it's like these 2 are good, and then I can briefly mention the other ones. So I think it's better. What do you guys think? Anyways, you guys can have a great day.